Welcome to the Wonder Bros Pod, where we rediscover wonder through the art of storytelling. I'm Cody.
And I'm Josh.
And we're currently on the countdown to Doomsday, rewatching every MCU film in release order, all the way to Avengers Doomsday in December. And today we are talking about Black Widow, the first movie in Phase 4.
That's right. Phase 4. So we are kind of running into what might be a lull, Phase 4, where we've just come off the highlight of Endgame, and then we get the encore of the next Spider-Man movie.
Right.
That was sort of peak MCU. And then I think a lot of the viewers and a lot of the enthusiasts, they were really hoping to continue that momentum. And frankly, I think that between this and Eternals, I think we actually hit some lower spots in terms of how that's received. Is that going to bother you?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this fella down here. Can you see him?
I don't know if you can see him.
Yeah.
I have my dog Gus in here today because no one is home except for us right now. So I just don't trust him to be by himself. So here he is. We have a dog back in the show.
Yeah.
This is a different one, but this is Gus.
Finn's no longer allowed here because he likes to eat and shit everywhere.
and he's big.
He's getting bigger.
He's getting bigger.
Right.
Yeah. He doesn't fit in your lap anymore.
It's funny enough, I may actually post a photo of him, like send you a photo to post for Madison to post, because he is getting quite big. Yeah. It's been a while, even since you've seen him. Yeah. And Gus, this is what's really sweet about this is Gus is usually the one that doesn't like me.
I know. And now he really wants to be all over you.
All over me.
Yeah, that's really
right.
funny. This movie starting Phase 4 is an interesting movie by itself. This is a movie that released in 2021, supposed to release in 2020, but COVID. And so we have COVID happening. This is also the first movie that they released Disney Plus. And they relaunched Disney Plus simultaneously with this and giving it a $30 premium. Fuck you, Disney, for doing that. And honestly, I hate all the premium bullshit that's in. We could have a whole conversation about streaming and how much it's all bullshit at this point.
Yeah,
drives me insane.
Oh, I remember being in college and staying up really late in the computer lab and then needing to take a break and then popping up the original version of Hulu.
Yeah,
where everything was literally free.
Yeah,
he had some ads, but it was like literally free.
Right.
You just watch whatever shows were on there, and they were great shows. And like that's how I got introduced to The Office. That's how I got introduced to Castle.
Let's not forget what Netflix originally was.
It was discs
coming to your
mailbox.
That's right. You had Netflix if you wanted it mailed to you, or you had Redbox if you wanted to go pick it up in person.
That's right. Yeah, and
that's the post-blockbuster era.
Speaking of Captain Marvel that we just released today.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So this film was directed by Kate Shortland. I'm not familiar with this director at all. She was an Australian director known for Lore in 2012, which Lore does actually, that's on Netflix, right? I think it's and Berlin Syndrome in 2017. Written by Eric Pearson. The budget was $288 million, and the box office was $379. Just barely made a little bit of money.
Yeah, goodness.
Yeah, so it did not make a lot of money. But it also wasn't released in theaters.
Yeah,
this is when we thought theaters might be dead. So it was a really dark time.
That's a good reminder. I hadn't actually thought about that even while I was rewatching the movie. But yeah, that's a weird time.
Wait, no, it did release in theaters. It's just that nobody went to see it.
Because we were still 2021.
Post-COVID. Yeah, it's still post-COVID era, and we're still like thinking about germs. But I went and saw it in theaters. I remember because I just now remembered I saw it in theaters. I didn't. We waited until it came out on streaming, and then we got it. Well, it came out the same day. It was it was the first simultaneous thing that Disney released that was both theater and streaming, which we thought that was going to be a thing for a little while. They started to do it, and then they didn't.
Yeah, I didn't remember any of that, but you're right. It now makes more sense. We went through a global trauma around getting together in places.
Right.
We still needed to on-ramp that.
Yeah.
And frankly, I mean, I know it's going to come up later in your notes, so I don't want to get too far down here, but the Black Widow, the actual title card here.
Yeah.
We already know what happens to her.
Right. Yeah.
3 movies earlier, we found out what happened.
Yeah.
And so
it's a posthumous movie, which is strange.
That's right.
Yeah.
It becomes similar to how we talked about the Ant-Man trilogy, where Ant-Man is really more a catalyst for the rest of the characters to get their stories told.
Right.
The most interesting characters in here for me are Yelena for sure and Alexei second. By far, those are my. I want to hear more about Yelena and I want to hear more about the Red Guardian.
Which is, they clearly picked up on that because that's what we got in Thunderbolts.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was my favorite part.
Oh, Yelena's role in the Hawkeye series.
Sure.
Fantastic.
It was the best part of the whole show.
So good. So good.
I liked the Clint aspect of the show. I liked that we got to see his lasting pain with what happened with Endgame and him still like getting over what happened with Natasha, which ended up creating an amazing scene at the end with him and Yelena. Like, it was such a healing moment. And of course we got to see, we've talked about this before, the scene where Yelena is snapped back, and we didn't really get to see that before. And then you have to like her like coming to grips with that is really fun. And that did not happen in the movie. It happened in the show.
That happened in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
That happened in Hawkeye show. Yeah, that's right.
I've seen all these things so many times, and it's problematic for me because I'm in the middle of rewatching all these things. I'm also rewatching some of the shows. Like, I rewatched Loki recently in preparation for Doomsday.
So good.
And it's still, to me, I think is one of the best, maybe the best story they've ever told. It's just Loki as its own container. It's the best story that they tell. Yeah, because we have the history we have with Loki, and he was the most beloved villain.
Correct. Yeah, all the way back to Thor 1.
Right.
So like I have been watching Tom Hiddleston play a character that I have fallen in love with that character all the way through, and he still gets the next movie with coming into Doomsday. Yeah. I'm so stoked. And yeah, by far his power up in Loki, the TV series, was just
amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But yeah, and so now I'm about to watch WandaVision. So like, I'm just like,
surely you saw the announcement that Vision Quest is going to round out her story?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
And we get to see what I assume is an apparition of a memory, and we get to see a human form version of Ultron, which will be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
and maybe even Dreamwalk. You might actually get I wonder if we're going to get...
Can Ultron dreamwalk, though, if he's not a real person?
Fantastic question.
Because is dreamwalking consciousness? Or is it just information?
This probably won't make this episode because it's such a digression.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an AI consciousness.
Yeah.
What is consciousness?
Right. It's already put itself into a robot body. Why couldn't it put itself into a human body?
And
that's what it wanted to do originally.
Right. And it's already found itself moving through multiple versions. Like there is an Ultron in all the other multiverses.
Right.
So the real question is, does Ultron dream? Because that's what dreamwalking
It does.
is.
He does. Because remember, when they're trying to put him in, they're like, he's dreaming.
Oh, shit.
In Age of Ultron. So if he's dreaming, he for sure is a consciousness.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh.
There's a lot to be unpacked there.
Yeah.
That I don't think that Marvel really thought about.
Sure.
I've realized that, like, over time, you realize that what Marvel does well is not tie in all the things knowing they're going to do it. They just know how to retcon everything. Yeah. They look for those moments. It's like, oh, we could do this because of this and this and this.
That's right.
And
a little hanging Chad, right? A little thread that's sitting out over there. Do you know what the word term?
I do know it. I don't know the origin of it.
Oh, okay, yeah. It came up in the George W. Bush and Al Gore recount in Florida.
Okay,
where a Chad is literally the piece of paper that comes out when you hole punch something. That's called a Chad.
Okay.
And so they were like,
assume it's an acronym.
Probably not.
Oh,
I don't know. But they had this whole list of like stupid stuff, like that was a dimpled Chad because it didn't fully get pushed through, or it was a hanging Chad, it didn't come all the way off. So does the vote count because it's a hanging Chad or a dimpled Chad or a pregnant Chad because it's swole or something?
Sure.
That's so funny. And I had a really good friend at the time named Chad, and it was such an
infinite amount of
options.
My God,
so many. You're like, dimpled Chad, a pregnant Chad. That's great.
Do we think that a Black Widow solo film feels a little too late at this point? Because I mean, we could argue that she deserved this movie a decade before that, and there was plans for a Black Widow movie, but it's something that I when it came out, I was like, now.
Right.
Yeah, I felt that for sure.
I was actually more hoping that you would get a torch passing to Florence Pugh, which you didn't really get. We got
definitely
close to
hinted.
it.
Yeah,
you got hinted. But
I kind of like the long game they played with.
Sure.
Yelena, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you needed another widow because we'd lost the Natasha widow, and but yeah, I didn't care about the character I already knew was dead. That was made it really hard. And again, it plays out into something that Marvel did not do well that we really, really wanted, which is to give us a strong female lead movie with a female superhero. Right? It didn't work in Captain Marvel. It didn't work in Black Widow. It didn't work in the Marvels or with Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
I think, funny enough, I was rewatching Shang-Chi recently because we're doing that episode coming up soon.
Yeah.
Next, yeah. And I think the coolest female arc that I'm excited about is actually we finally get the most formidable Iron Man character, which is the Mandarin, and they kill him at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But his daughter steps into the seat.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, could we finally get like a gender bend on this horrific villain called the Mandarin?
Right.
And like have a woman lead that? Would that be, owing back to Cate Blanchett as Hela, like, can we finally get these like more dominant female characters? Because they keep trying to do a female hero and it's not working.
No. Yeah. Not to say they shouldn't keep
Of course
trying.
they should. Of course they should. Yeah, that's right. I mean, the same thing that we said in Captain Marvel. Like, that's the story that needs to get told. We just need somebody to do it right, and I don't know who that is.
I know. I would have loved to see not Captain America, but
Haley Atwell, Captain
Carter.
Captain Carter. Yeah, I almost said Captain Britain, but that's a different character.
That's a different character. Yeah,
that's right.
All right, so let's move on to the origin story. We have Natasha Romanoff in the comics first appearing in Tales of Suspense in number 52 in April of 1964. This character is created by Stan Lee, Don Rico, and Don Heck. Originally written as a Cold War villain working against Iron Man. Kind of sounds more like Winter Soldier. Gradually becomes a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and one of the Avengers' most reliable members. The character existed for over 50 years before getting a solo film. There was actually a film, like I was saying earlier, it was a film in development. It began in 2004 with Lionsgate, way before MCU was a thing.
Oh, wow.
And it kind of fizzled out, I think, I don't know what happened. It just kind of fizzled out, and then Marvel got the rights back in 2006, and then they started developing Black Widow in 2017.
Oh, wow.
So it was so far. So we could have gotten it before, but it was at that point it was already always going to be after Endgame, so it's kind of silly. And I think that there's some kind of fun facts about the Kate Shortland that I said, the unexpected choice. Shortland initially turned the job down. Scarlett actually personally Zoomed her and convinced her to do it based on the idea of like digging more into Natasha's character and her person, like her more of like her personality and her demons that she's struggling with. And you get to see a little bit of that in the film. I think that kind of came through a little bit. She said from the very beginning, it was Kate Shortland for me. What drew her was that Shortland was interested. God, I can't read. I can't even read my own notes. Was interested in the messy, vulnerable parts of Natasha, not just the action hero. And she had to fight Marvel specifically to make the fight sequences uglier and more visceral, which I think definitely showed up. We'll get to that, but we get to see a little bit of like a Winter Soldier fight in this movie. You get to see like I think they did drop the knife and do like something like that. Yeah,
Taskmaster does it.
Right, exactly. But her instinct was that audiences would switch off during the fight scenes if they knew what to expect. Even more so because we already know she survives. But Kevin Feige reportedly pushed her to go further. He was quoted saying, "Make it more truthful, make it more visceral." So I love that he was like all in on that.
Yeah.
Of course, we have the COVID delay, which we already talked about, and then Yelena. Just to touch on a couple of the other characters, because these are our first time we get to finally see some new characters in this movie. We haven't seen in a while at this point. Yelena. In the comics was created by Devin Grayson and J.G. Jones. First appeared in Inhumans Volume 2, Number 5 in 1999. So it's a fairly new character in terms of like the grand scope of things. Second person to take the Black Widow mantle in the comics, has a long and complicated history with Natasha, ranging from rival to ally to successor. I think that kind of plays out.
And they play that directly out in the movie.
Right.
Like they fight and then
I don't know if she's her. I don't think she's her sister, quote unquote, in the comics though. I think that's an MCU adaptation.
Okay.
And I think that this was I would argue that Yelena is probably one of the most successful Phase 4 character that they've done.
Absolutely.
In the long run. Taskmaster in the comics was Tony Masters, a male mercenary with the ability to mimic any fighting style he observes. I always forget that Taskmaster is female. because I always think of Taskmaster as male because of the comics. So I haven't read the comics, but I know who Taskmaster is to some degree in the comics, and so and they kind of play it off in this movie as though it's a male. So it's like it's a male, right, and so it's kind of and in the way that Taskmaster moves through the movie, it just seems very like masculine and very domineering, and so you think it's going to be a male. So it's a kind of a fun turn, actually, and I thought it was a good move. One of Marvel's most endearing villain concepts in the film, Antonia Dreykov, daughter of the Red Room's general, who was wounded as a child and weaponized as Taskmaster by her own father. The gender swap and the motivation change were controversial among comic fans. The mimic ability stays, but everything else is different. And then we got Red Guardian. Alexei Shostakov, the Soviet answer to Captain America, first appeared in Avengers 43 in 1967. We knew that was going to be an old character. Yeah. In the comics, he was Natasha's ex-husband, which is odd.
Oh, interesting.
David Harbour plays him as a man completely out of time. I don't know if that's from the book. I don't think that's necessarily true. A Soviet super soldier who hasn't been relevant in 30 years. So I guess in that way, out of time.
Sure, yeah.
But still genuinely believes in his own greatness. It is interesting. So the comic, I think the comedic register Harbour brings was a deliberate choice, and to give the film something the action sequences couldn't. I think that's great. I find that it is interesting, though, I was watching this the second time and I thought, is this like what would Steve Rogers have been if he hadn't been frozen in ice? You know, is this is what we're kind of getting, because we don't ever get to see him as old Captain America. So it's kind of funny to see him like try to put on the suit. It still fits, you know.
Totally.
It's so good.
Yeah. This idea that he had his best days when he's fighting maybe Captain America.
Right.
Way back before.
Yeah, that's a strange line. Can't forget that line.
Yeah, well, particularly now, because as of the taping of this, we have gotten confirmation that Steve Rogers is coming back in Doomsday as Nomad.
Right.
Not as, it was a leak, but it's coming out. He's not going to be Captain America. We knew that. We were worried he might be Captain Hydra or some other multiverse version of Captain America. Somebody slipped the word Nomad. So he is the R616 Steve Rogers that has been traveling the multiverse.
Right.
So it's possible he did come back and fight the Red Guardian.
Yeah,
it's possible. They could actually have some of those scenes. What I was laughing at earlier is, so I've had people go, you know, you get this sort of celebrity look-like questions. They're like, oh my gosh, you look like so-and-so. Okay, so I get a lot. People go Hopper.
Yeah,
from Stranger Things.
So David Harbour, yeah.
Right, it's David Harbour.
I can see that a little bit,
well, so what the funny thing is that every time somebody says that, I go, maybe more like David Harbour in the Red Guardian. Because I feel like I'm a little chubbier than Hopper is, and I got beard, which Hopper doesn't. He has the smaller beard, but like I feel like I'm a little more Red Guardian than Hopper.
Sure. Okay.
So anyway, as you were, and I was thinking about me squeezing into a super suit, and I was it just maybe it tickled me. I was like, that's exactly. I would be the non-Russian accented version of that. Like that's how I would interact.
That's funny.
So anyway, I just sort of, it was funny for me. So yeah, Alexei actually is one of my favorite characters in the sort of Phase 4 and beyond.
Yeah,
I do like his character. He plays a little bit too much. So he's almost Mickey Rourke grimy.
Yeah.
Which I didn't like in Iron Man 2.
Right.
But he's a couple
or at least in this prison he is. Yeah.
Sure. Well, no, I mean, whenever she goes and picks him up in Thunderbolts, he's living in squalor.
That's true.
So it's pretty rough. But I do see that even though he very clearly is like, I am a Russian agent, I am a super soldier, I need this suit, and go glory to Soviet Russia.
Right.
Or Soviet Union. There are these moments where he's actually really, really trying to be a sweet father, even though he's not biologically their father.
Right.
And that even comes up more in Thunderbolts. So I do actually really like both of those characters. And they did, in my opinion, overshadow Natasha Romanoff because, as you said earlier, Natasha's already dead by the time we watch this.
I know we could argue that Natasha still hasn't gotten her movie.
yeah, that's right.
Because this movie was for sure meant to introduce the families aspects and those characters. When Yelena obviously is the main thing. It is interesting we don't get what is the mom's name? I can't remember her name.
Miralina.
Yeah, I can't remember why. I can't believe I couldn't remember that. I've never heard that name in my life. But yeah, we haven't gotten any more of her. She's still alive somewhere.
Yeah. Again, very, very minor character, except for taking the wound early on in the plane. And then she ends up being, like a really quick kind of we're in this together scene right at the very end. But you don't get the big action sequence that you got with Alexei in the prison rescue. And you sort of don't get that same stuff. So you're right. Yeah. She did kind of fade.
Yeah. Completely side note, the actress that plays her, I am really excited to see coming back in The Mummy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so that'll be fun.
I forgot that was her.
Yeah.
Are they bringing back Brendan Fraser for that?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's actively getting in shape right now. Yeah, he's getting in shape.
Curious because he's a me.
I mean, he was arguably probably even more out of shape actually, because you're like fairly in shape. They're like,
thank you.
You're more in shape than I am.
I purposefully put the screen over the belly. I'm glad the shoulders exist because the belly.
We both got broad shoulders.
That's right, because the belly also exists.
Right. Yeah. No, my belly definitely
both,
exists.
Both of
working on getting rid of it. All right, so let's move on to the pull list. What's your first pull?
I loved the female-led version, the opening credit scene, female-sung version of Teen Spirit, and the montage of Natasha and Yelena. It set a good pace for me because you're seeing, again, like you sit down, I didn't watch it in the theater, but you sit down to watch this movie and you're like, the title card is already dead.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie is going to be inconsequential for her. So what else is here?
Right.
And you get quickly introduced to the Yelena character.
Yeah.
And then I just really liked that version of Teen Spirit. Great song.
Yeah.
Great song, great version of it. So, yeah.
I really, it's going back and watching it. The Ohio opening, the film opens in 1995. Perfect American Family Life. You got that, like the Firefly scene and all that. The dynamic of it, as short-lived as it is great. And you believe that they're a family at first. You feel that, especially for those of us that did not know the story, did not know what we were in for. That kind of like suburban Ohio, the sprinkler, the bike, the golden retriever, when they're driving past, you see them playing football. Like it's very like Friday Night Lights in that moment,
Yeah.
I love that aspect of it. I thought that, and then you get to the plane and he like lifts the thing, throws the thing across.
It's like he's a super soldier.
Right. Yeah. You don't realize it to that point. So it was kind of fun. And then the idea too is like, you remember what we talked about when they're in the house and he's like, we have to go. And then you can just see like I don't want to. And then you realize that the kids also have done this before because they're like, I don't want to leave. They were not surprised.
Right.
They were just dreading it seemed like. And so that was interesting. And you kind of got that like, they're probably just a few, they're however 45 minutes or however long he says, I can't remember. But it's like he's done something that has caused them to have to leave and sabotage something with the American government. So you get that little bit of like, you remember the show? I never really watched it. I've seen a few episodes, but the show The Americans.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. Yeah.
And so it's very similar in that it kind of gives you that vibe very briefly.
I'll tell you. So growing up, I was born in 1983. So growing up into the late 80s, early 90s, the Soviet Union had just fallen, mid 80s. But we were still worried that the Soviet Union was going to come back. Like I remember being in elementary school and learning about like Russian spies.
Mm-hmm.
Like there might be sleeper agents here. Like that's true.
Accurate.
Podunk nowhere, Southeast Texas.
Yeah.
And we were doing duck and cover drills on being nuked. Like I remember
really?
that.
Even in the 80s? I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because we were still Soviets.
For sure. And so, somewhere between the Americans and the sort of sleeper agents and then my own childhood. So there's this old movie called The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming. And I remember having it on VHS. And it is so funny because it's a silly comedy. And it's like a New England island. And a derelict Russian submarine beaches on the island.
Wow.
And it's a bunch of Russians getting off in this like island of like 30 people, and they're so nervous that the Soviet Union's going to invade, and then all these Russians are walking and they don't speak English, and so it's a comedy of just like total absurdity, and they're all thinking that nuclear war is coming, and they're really just trying to survive, and also realize that the Russians too have been trained to think that Americans are all violent, and so they're all anyway. So it's somewhere between that and the show The Americans, and then like The Sandlot. In that scene.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, again, you're getting like apple pie and football. And it's sort of, it was a cool scene. I thought it was a good pull.
Yeah. Next pull?
Alexi's rescue. I think you and I disagree on this because I think earlier you mentioned that you didn't love this scene. It's the first and it's a multi-layered combat scene, starting out inside of a cell and then inside the hallway, and then it gets out onto the scaffolding, and then Yelena causes an avalanche, and she gets out of the helicopter, and then there was a lot of motion. There's a lot of elevation change. It felt
Sure.
like. It felt like blockbuster style action.
Yeah.
Now, was it all practical? Of course not. There's a lot there that you're like, okay, that's not the way that would work, and gravity doesn't work that way. And there's a lot there. And honestly, this was one of the most. This movie to me was one of the most irresponsible when it comes to how things actually worked, like gravity in the final fight scene, or the way that physics works when you're swinging on a helicopter.
Yep.
Like it ignored all the rules, which was fine from a comic book perspective. But for people like you and me, we look at this and go, wait, what are we doing here?
I mean, we know for a fact that at this point, the gravity in the MCU is relevant. It's relevant to whatever they want it to be.
That's right. Relative motion. You can jump up and come right
Did I
back
say
down.
relevant? I meant relative.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime somebody jumps directly up and lands right back where they land, that's not how that works.
I feel like it happens in this movie, but I can't remember. I thought that the avalanche scene comes very close. It's riding the line of jumping the shark when they're getting back on the helicopter. It's like, okay, like,
sure.
We're all, except for Alexi, normal human beings here. Like, what are we doing? Like, there's no possible way.
Yeah.
And so, but rewatching it, and we'll get there, but like, there are scenes later that do jump the shark. So like, when you reflect back on it, I'm like, okay, I can believe whatever.
Yeah,
I'll go with it.
And it was, again, if you just sit in that 90s action flick where nothing needs to make sense anyway.
Yeah, all the guns, and they don't shoot anybody. Yeah,
right.
Very. We our critique last time we had a critique like that. It was in Iron Man 3. No, yes, 3.
Okay,
because where Rhodey and Tony are at the docks and the shooting. And like, everybody's like shooting, and they're like nobody even hits anything, and then he's like, bam!
One shot, a cable in the dark. Sure. Or or in Ant-Man when Darren Cross, who's probably certainly a sniper. No, he's not. And he shoots an ant.
Yeah.
With a pistol from a helicopter at night.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, like that scene in Iron Man 3, full on 90s action, this one as well. Like anytime I see a whole bunch of people shooting at somebody and they're just like ching, 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 ching all around them, you're like, okay. What are we, Star Wars?
Yeah, that's right. It's so funny you say that because I just watched something with the kids and it was a bunch of stormtroopers and they were shooting and missing entirely.
Everything, yeah.
Like,
stormtroopers never hit anything.
That's right. How do you guys miss it all?
Yeah, always.
How do you miss it all?
Well, I mean, the helmets don't help.
Sure.
Okay, so my next pull is the safe house fight. I think it's fun between Yelena and Natasha.
Yeah, sure. That's good.
I think that like two women trying to kill each other with the full weight of a complicated history behind every move. Shortland specifically says she pushed to make this fight ugly and real rather than choreographed and slick, which I think shows it's very messy and very like not choreographed, it feels like, which I liked. I think it translated well. It's one of the most grounded fight sequences in the MCU, I think. It felt really like, I don't know if tactile is the right word, but like it felt very like, you could lived in a way.
Yeah, tactile might be the right word.
Yeah. So I think, and it's like they're not superheroes here. Like we're not watching superheroes fight at this point, and they're just two women who were trained to hurt people, trying to work through something they can't really say out loud at this point. And it's such a complicated history, and like neither one of them. Well, we don't know this yet, but Yelena not. Still thinking of her as her sister and like, but not, and it's just you don't know where the other one stands. It was an interesting tension that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's right.
What's your next pool?
I really like the family meal that happens.
Yeah, my next was the fake family reunion. So yeah, we're on the same page here.
Yeah. Alexi is acting like, so funny. Alexi kind of has Red Guardian has a bit of a schizophrenia here because when the mission's over in the opening the Ohio opening scene, he's like, oh, okay, good. Mission's over. Good. You can go back doing your thing. The girls are going to go and I can get my suit back. And you sort of see him kind of go, done. Mm-hmm. But then you also later see him be the one that's going, oh, let's go get your mother. And it's like, she's not my mom, and And you see Natasha, who has at this point been to space. Well, no, not in this part of the movie, but in our view, she's going to end up being somebody that ends up going to space, like fighting all over the universe. And she's looking at this going like, you realize this is all fake, right? Like, can we just call that? And then Yelena, who was much younger.
Right.
And, you see children, having, sadly, having gone through a divorce, children do have this level of resilience where they begin to accept their reality faster. And I think it's a lot of times that's subconscious because they know that their survival depends on it subconsciously. So no 6-year-old kid ever goes, well, if I piss off my dad too much, he may not feed me.
Right.
But what a 6-year-old does do, and this is personal experience, does say, oh, well, if my dad keeps calling me dumb, I need to agree with him because he's feeding me.
Right.
And so then they take on the reality around them. And then you see that with Yelena. Yelena takes on the reality around her as a young child, and it shapes who she is whenever they have that reunion. It's really beautiful. The direct quote she says is, she's like, the best part of my life was fake, and none of you told me.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to your earlier conversation, where you said the girls knew this, not both of them.
Right.
Natasha did, but
That's
Yelena
fair.
didn't.
Yeah.
And so...
And you do see that in the opening sequence because you see Natasha like fully aware of what's happening, and the other girl, you see Yelena just going along with it, and they're lying to her. It's going to be okay. We're going to go on a trip.
Right.
That's true. You do get to see that.
And at the end of that scene, you see them trying to take Yelena away, and Natasha's already been through the Red Room.
Right.
So she's like, don't let them take her.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Which really fucked with me this time, because when Natasha first told the story to Bruce Banner in Avengers 1 that there was a forced sterilization, in my mind, she was an adult.
Right.
Fast forward to Black Widow. The gutter moment is...
Which is rewinding.
Right, yeah. Fast forward to the past.
Yeah.
She's 12, 13 maybe, in this movie.
Right. So it's probably right after this that it happens.
And it's already happened.
Do we know that?
No, but like the assumption, the gutter that was, it should come up in the gutter later, but what I'm experiencing her is telling, she's already graduated from the Red Room, telling them not to take Yelena. Don't let them take Yelena.
I don't think that's true because you see, what's his name? Sarkov? Dreykov. So many Kovs.
Yeah.
Dreykov is they say something about her being the special one, and then she gets put through much more rigorous training in the Red Room. So it's really kind of fuzzy what has happened before this point, and I would think that they wouldn't do like the forced sterilization like hysterectomy until after puberty. So if she's just it's very clear in the beginning of this she's just reaching that level. She's still kind of prepubescent, probably just reaching that level. So I would think just logically it would happen after this, but probably right after.
I think in my head, because I currently have a 12-year-old who's has already started puberty.
Sure.
I think I'm looking at, and I have an 18-year-old who's gone through it. I'm looking at that actor playing a young Natasha going, no, she's after puberty. I may be wrong.
Sure.
And I didn't look at it that close. I just remember it striking me.
We're digging into the gutter really far right now.
The reason why though is because it then begins to explain a little more the absolute pain that you see her experience whenever they're taking Yelena.
Yeah, I mean, one way or another, she's experienced something with the Soviets. She understands what's going on. She understands, at the very least, what the Red Room is. Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. I think that I'll skip my next one because the fake family reunion, it's just the only thing I'll mention is like the dinner scene, the whole dynamic that they have outside of just like kind of the things you're kind of like picking into like the small parts of it. Just the overall dynamic of it. I was like, God, this is so great. Like rewatching it, I forgot how good it was. And it's just like they have a great dynamic. You see a lot with, I have in my notes Melina. Is it Melina? Or do I have this wrong?
I think it's Miralina, but maybe it's
anyway.
Melina.
It's hard because of the accent that David Harbour brings to the character.
Miralina. Yeah, that's right.
But Alexei, and we'll go with Melina for now. You could, while you're looking that up. Together with Natasha and Yelena are great, but I really love that they create this, like, you see discomfort and warmth together a lot with them, which I do love.
You're right,
Melina. Okay. And
I think I saw it and I thought, how close is that to Miralax? And I think that's why it got stuck in my head.
Oh, sure.
It's not Miralina, it's Melina.
Yeah,
anyway.
right.
I wanted you to finish I want you to finish what you were just saying because I have something I want to add in on this too.
I mean, that was pretty much it. I just like the dynamic that you see that there is. They actually, the longer the movie goes on, you see a more complex dynamic. It's not so surface level. Just like you were saying with Alexei after the dinner scene when it's all about to fall apart again, and you see him trying to like pull it all together and like it's like, all right, time to be the captain. You know, so he's like trying to like bring it all together as the quote unquote dad, the father, the father figure. And so, but like before that moment, you get to see like it's just this continually I want to say unraveling, but it's really unfolding. Thank you. It's an unfolding of this more complex dynamic that by the end I'm bought into. Like maybe I didn't love the movie, but like it's not my favorite MCU movie, but it's definitely not my least favorite. Sure, it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, my least favorite we released today.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah. So I'm with you, and also you get a sense that they were probably together for 3 years, like a 3-year tour or whatever like that. Yeah. Which for Yelena being only 6 or 7 years old, that's half her life. And Alexei being there for those developmental moments, which I think are important because again, he's kind of a schizophrenic character. There are moments where he doesn't care about them at all because he's Soviet first, right? Which is culturally appropriate for somebody who wanted to see the Soviet Union grow. But then he also, like, whenever they do the reunion and there's even like the sexual tension between him and Melina.
Right.
Like,
and you're like, oh, they actually like.
I've been in prison for a long time and I'm very vigorous. Whatever he says, it's like, he's like, it's been a long time since I felt the touch of a woman. And they're like, oh my God, Mom, Dad, can you stop? Right. And it's like, gross, like, stop that.
But also, like, interesting that they had that dynamic even, it's just, it is interesting. What is you have any more polls? Okay, well, my last one was of course, we've kind of touched on already, Alexei and Taskmaster's fight. The knife work kind of echoes Winter Soldier, which I said before, which is the right comparison. Alexei's brawling style against Taskmaster's mimicry. Mimicry? When I read it in my head, it's like you have those words, we've talked about this before, where you read them. I always see mimicry. So mimicry is like
I always see biopic instead of biopic. I see biopic. It's a biopic.
I say biopic all the time.
Oh yeah, no, it's biopic. Yeah.
Makes more sense to say biopic.
Yeah, because it's a picture about their life.
Right, it's a biography picture. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
I think I've heard people say biopic.
It's a biopic. I know. I know.
You sure this isn't like a tomato kind of thing?
Well, there's a right way to say tomato.
Oh man,
my kid's mom. This is good. This is one of those moments where I'm gonna say you're probably gonna cut this, and then you're not. So I just need to say it in kind language. But there are moments where she can get a little pretentious, and she knows this about herself. It's a conversation we've had. But and the way that it comes out is in the way that she will pronounce words that are like, "Come on, man, you're from Minnesota,
right?"
And tomato is one of them. She's like, oh, yeah, get the tomatoes. Like, those are tomatoes. Like, you live in Tennessee and you grew up in Texas. You're not British. Anyway. So you said tomato. I'm like, there is a right way to say it, motherfucker. I divorced a woman over that shit. No. Well,
I think of like aluminium versus aluminum.
Yeah, right. Well, it actually is spelled differently.
Right, I know. But I'm just like, but then.
Yeah.
You're right depending on where you are.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. The bin versus the trash can.
Yeah.
The lift versus the elevator.
The cart versus the buggy.
That's right.
That's one people don't think of very often. Anyway, I'm gonna go
weed eater versus weed whacker.
Oh yeah.
Because weed whacker has she always called it weed whacker and it always felt inappropriately sexual. Like, who's whacking a weed? Like, no, thank you. No, I'll weed eat. Which she's like, you're gonna eat it. I'm like, fair enough.
I was going there. I'm glad you got there ahead of me. I think of firefly versus lightning bug.
Oh yeah,
you can definitely tell which part of the country you're from, depending on if you call them fireflies or not. It's funny because growing up, I always called them lightning bugs, but in songs, I referenced them as fireflies whenever I've written about them. In 2 different songs, and I've said fireflies both times because it sounds prettier than lightning bug.
Lightning bugs. That's right.
I love me some lightning lightning bugs.
That's right. That's the difference between we're going to have dinner, we're going to have supper. We're going to have some supper. You can come to
Supper time.
It's supper time. Yeah, that's right.
I've never said supper.
I
don't
have.
Think. I don't think I have.
I have.
I'm sure my parents did, but I've always said dinner.
Going over to Papa's for supper. Yeah, that was it's Southeast Texas, man. And we were redneck all the way.
Sunday supper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Supper at Papa's house.
My granny had that.
Yeah.
Everybody was invited.
You used to say the words salt.
Oh.
For salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get an oil change?
Toilet instead of toilet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or whether you're sewing or writing, it's still a pen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pen. It's not a pen.
Yeah.
It's a pen.
Pen.
Sprite and light and right.
Yellow. My mom says yellow instead of yellow.
Yeller.
All right, let's move on to the spark and the fizzle.
Spark and the fizzle.
I'm gonna just run through my sparks.
Cool, do it.
All right. Because some of these we've already talked about. Florence Pugh as Yelena, amazing. David Harbour as Alexi, amazing.
Incredible.
Already talked about the family dynamic overall. I think that really carried the movie. We do get a little bit of a Budapest callback payoff here, which is odd because it's in retrospect. We're going backwards and getting it. Because the last thing we hear is just like the joke that we know. That's the last time they mention it, really. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, what are your sparks?
Yeah, so I Taskmaster, I like the gender bend on she comes up in the fizzle as well, so we'll get to that. I really liked the chemistry between Yelena and Natasha, especially around her picking on her for the fighting pose jokes.
Yeah.
She's like, why do you always do this? It's like, are you trying to look cool?
Yeah.
And then she falls and lands later on, and then she gets up, she goes, ugh,
I love it.
Yeah, that's right. It's really
so
good. And then again, you mentioned Alexi. Whenever he gets rescued and they're in the helicopter, and he's like, "Why all this aggression? Is it your time of the month?" And she like crassly, explicitly explains a hysterectomy to him. I was like,
because he's for sure supposed to know how the Red Room works.
And it's like it's the two of them being so this is going to come up in the gutter, and I'm not going to get into it yet, but the two of them are a different kind of superhero. And obviously she's not a super soldier, he's a super soldier, but they're very different kinds of heroes than Natasha was, as far as I'm concerned. This Yelena triggers an avalanche and she goes, "This would be a cool way to die." You know, she's got this experience around, even in the final fight sequence when she looks at Natasha and she's like, "This was fun." And then earlier on, whenever she gets it looks like they're about to take her face off. They're like marking her face and she's like, "This is a terrible way to die." Or this is a stupid way to die.
Yeah.
You catch, again, it's a gutter moment. We'll talk about it then. But like, I love that chemistry there.
Yeah.
And then the coolest little spark for me that happened was whenever, even though I'm going to talk about the mechanics in the fizzle, I didn't like it. We get a thank you for your cooperation moment.
Yeah.
So our very first introduction to Black Widow, she's interrogating somebody else while she's tied to the chair.
Yeah.
And then she tricks Loki and she's like, she figures out his plan and she turns, she looks at him and she goes, "Thank you for your cooperation." Now, fast forward to the end of this story, she's in front of Dreykov and he tells her how to turn off the machine, how to get into it with the ring, and then she finally goes, "Thank you for your cooperation."
Yeah.
And you realize she's been working him the whole time.
Yeah.
So good. That's my sparks. What about
it?
Your
It is
fizzles?
good, but this would be a perfect transition into the fizzle. But was it because he should have known better that she was playing him the whole time? Like, it's like he really thought that she had no moves left, and that's the only reason he was giving her all the information, showing her how the ring worked and all the stuff. It just seemed a little too perfect, too little in place. So in that regard, that'll be the fizzle that I go with from that scene, because I know you have another one that's really good, that I agree with as well. So that one is great, is terrible in that regard. I just don't think it was realistic. The jailbreak scene, I did say the avalanche jumping the shark. I had that there. We kind of jumped the gun on that one.
Say more. Why was that a jump the shark moment for you?
Well, I just don't think that an avalanche that big they would have been able to get out of when they were in the spray of the snow.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not
snow
the causing.
No, not the causing. The
Okay.
causing makes sense, I guess. It's a stupid place for somebody to put a gigantic prison, but yeah, sure. Geography aside, I just don't think, because like you literally see the spray come up. Snow spray is heavy and weighted. There is no way that wouldn't have jammed all of the jets and the keeping the helicopter afloat. there's just a lot of mechanics there that I'm like, but also I think I could have been more on board with it if the CGI was better. The CGI was garbage. That was almost Moon Knight level garbage. And you know what scene I'm talking about, right? The very first scene, the scene that I like to make the joke that they saved all the CGI money for the spinning of the sky, because that was awesome. Incredible. But that was one of the only cool like visual moments of the show. And the very first scene we get of Moon Knight is him driving around like these hard curves where he just snaps back to his personality, and you clearly see that it's a screen. Like it's so obvious, and it's just and it was a terribly lit screen. Like it's like they needed to change the bulb on the projector even. Like it was just so bad. And I felt like that with this. It was just so obviously not real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, Marvel, you do better. You spent 288 million?
Yeah.
288.5 million. Make the fucking avalanche scene better. That's how I feel about it. Right. I'm very passionate about it.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and email that to Kevin Feige.
Yeah, go ahead. Send that to him. I'm sure he cares what I think. My next one is the entire escape from the Red Room floating base. 15 minutes of consecutive physics violations.
It is 1/6 of the goddamn movie.
I've got a whole paragraph. I'm just going to read it. So I'll make sure I get it all in there. Natasha jumps through fire out a window to escape an explosion and then jumps back in. The parents fall off a jet, come back, fight through soldiers shooting at them midair, slow motion running from explosion scenes with cheap visual effects again. And the finale, Yelena blows up a jet and somehow gets thrown clear. Natasha finds her midair, catches up to her, straps a parachute to her, then jumps to falling debris to fight Taskmaster all the way to the ground and somehow survives. And the whole sequence asks for more than any reasonable audience can give. It is like beyond like Mission Impossible ridiculousness. Yes. You know, I love the Mission Impossible movies. I could not get behind this scene.
It's Fast and the Furious physics.
Yes, it's Fast and the Furious physics. I love the alliteration there.
It scratched your itch.
So good.
So good.
FFP.
FFPH, motherfucker.
FFPH. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And like I wrote it down this way so that I could really just line it up. It is the more you hear of it, the worse it is. Imagine explaining this to somebody who hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
You know,
like, wait, what? Huh?
You're completely lost. And then really you're lost watching it. I remember I saw it in the theater and I was like, fuck this scene. And then I watched it the second time. I was like, fuck this scene. Like, come on. People, what are you doing? Yeah, it was terrible.
Is this y'all's first movie?
Exactly. Yeah. I think that I don't know. I just feel like too, the film was set kind of in the wrong timeline. I don't know. It being between Civil War and Infinity War, that's when this is happening, right? So like we're going so far back, but it's in like this weird time. It creates kind of a structural problem. We know exactly how much runway Natasha has, and we know how she dies. The stakes in the action sequences don't land because the audience already knows she survives all of this. And it's also honestly like when I was watching it, I was like, where are we in this timeline again? Like it's okay, she's on the run, so it has to be after Civil War, but it's before Infinity War. But it takes a minute to get there where you're like, I don't know what is happening. And we're already doing a flashback to the childhood and then to now. But now it's not now, it's before. It's a lot. It's a lot of like acrobatics, mental acrobatics you're doing to try to like recall what's happening.
Absolutely. I remember when I first watched it, and then again when I rewatched it for this project. Both times, I remember that it was so far out of it for me that I didn't actually even question when it was happening.
Right, sure.
I just was like, okay, that happened in the 80s, and then this happened at some point, and she's not dead yet.
Yeah.
But I didn't put it between...
We know it's before Endgame.
Yeah,
we can definitely confirm that.
Has to know that.
Yeah.
That's fair. What other Fizzles do you have?
That's it. What are yours?
Okay, so Taskmaster, total flat character. You get zero of that personality.
100%. I had that as one of mine, but I knew you were going to say it. So.
Yeah. One of the things that like in the movie The Incredibles, where what's the name of the villain in the first Incredibles movie?
Mega? No. What's his name?
That doesn't matter. He's got an S. It's like anyway. It's he goes, "Oh, you dog, you caught me monologuing."
Yeah.
And there's a thing that happens with villains monologuing, giving the hero time to adjust and win.
I know.
And it's a stereotype to the point of ridiculous. Well, Natasha does it.
Yep.
Like she could have just ended Dreykov. Instead, she has to talk to Dreykov and tell him why she's about to kill him. And that gives the widows time to get in. And you're like,
I mean, yeah,
man.
it doesn't make sense for her character.
Right.
Like, her character's smarter than that, and she would have known that they're coming, and that, like, she just clearly wasn't worried about it. Well, also, too, though, she kind of wanted them to be there.
Okay. Maybe.
So, like, I think it was actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I just forgot, like, you got to think, like, she wanted them all in one room. So that they could, because their plan was already ruined. They weren't where they were supposed to be. So she wanted them all in one room. She was probably kind of hoping they would get there and she could figure out what to do then. She gives her options.
Yeah, I'm not going to give her that much credit. I'm not going to give the writers that much credit.
Yeah. But it is exactly what happens.
Yeah,
so
it just felt like monologuing.
Sure.
And the other one, the biggest one is that the actual solve to the problem is he has a pheromonic lock on her. And so then Melina says, Miralax says, you have to sever the olfactory nerve. And so she smashes her face. She tricks him into punching her, and he doesn't sever the nerve. And so she smashes her face. That's not how you sever a nerve. That's how you break a nose.
Yeah.
And then later on, she sort of like pops her nose back into place. That's not how you unsever a nerve.
Or how you unbreak a nose.
Right.
You can like dislocate a nose, I guess. No, there is no dislocating.
Because this is cartilage. There's no,
Right, yeah.
So it didn't, all of that was like.
Completely agree with you.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
You could have said something like block the nerve. You could have done something like, she could have walked in with nose plugs. You know what I mean? Like there are a bunch of ways to do that didn't require her to cause permanent nerve damage to her face.
Yeah.
That we know doesn't come up later in the story.
Well, they try to explain away why you can't just wear nose plugs, right? Like there is something about that where she's like, you can't because of whatever.
She said she was going to hold her breath. And you're like, you can't.
Yeah.
You won't have time for that. But anyway, again, this is not the movie I'm going to shit on the most, but these moments.
There were some ridiculous moments, yeah. It did not leave me with a lot of hope for Phase 4. I mean, we'll say that.
Fair enough. And I think that not a lot of hope delivered because we did not get a lot of great Phase 4 movies.
No.
In fact, I think my favorite Phase 4 movie is one I don't think you cared for that much, which is Shang-Chi. It's the next one.
No, actually, we'll get there.
Okay.
I liked it better the last couple times I watched it.
All right. That's all I've got for Fizzle. Aside from just, in general, this movie fizzled.
Yeah. Generally. Not as bad as the last one, but yeah. Yeah, definitely was it's at the bottom of my last 3 or 4 movies out of all the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's...
you know what I would have liked instead?
Okay.
I would have liked the movie to be titled Widows and for it to be more about all the widows.
Yeah.
With Natasha being the one that's rescuing them. But like you'd see not just Yelena do one job but like you'd see like them being the widows.
Yeah.
Which would take it from this one character called the Black Widow, and you realize no, there are dozens of widows.
Yeah,
and so then you would see the widows, and then you would see them get rescued. That would be a better story.
Yeah,
rather than
wouldn't have been able to get to know Yelena as much though.
Arguably, but
or the family.
That's right. Yeah,
it would have been a different movie. But yeah, I agree with you. It also would be a really good like 4 or 5 episode series.
Oh, a miniseries. Yeah,
just do like a full on spy, like dark.
Oh,
intense.
That's still. I mean, we don't have any pull with Disney, but that could still work.
It could still happen, yeah,
because you can do it now in the timeline, right? With Yelena chasing down and rescuing the widows.
Sure.
Yeah, there was a late season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer where one of the characters basically activated. So the lore around Buffy the Vampire Slayer is when one Slayer dies, somebody who also has the Slayer blessing activates. And then when that one dies, the next one does. And there's generations.
There's only one.
There's only one at a time, but there are a bunch of young girls who can be the Slayer.
Huh, okay.
They just can't all be the Slayer at once. And then what happens is one of the main characters activates all the Slayers to overcome the big bad, the final big bad in the very last season. She activates all the Slayers.
This sounds like Joss Whedon.
I love how much you love that guy. But what happens then is later on in a spinoff show, you see them going and tracking down and rescuing these Slayers because they're all by themselves now with superpowers. You could have had a similar vein there.
Sure.
That's a real deep cut for any of our like
it's
Buffy
really deep cut.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the gutter.
Yeah, the gutter.
All right, so my first gutter moment is this kind of idea about the Red Room. We were just talking about this. We could see a whole series about it. The Red Room kind of being this this stand-in for institutional abuse.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Film takes seriously something the MCU had mostly treated as like backstory flavor. The Natasha and every Black Widow was a trafficked child. Girls taken, trained, their reproductive system surgically removed without consent.
Yeah.
And this part of it, this aspect of it, is only more apparent now as we've gotten through so many situations of, you know, child trafficking and
The fucking
sex
Epstein
trafficking.
files. I'm just going to call it out.
Diddy.
Come on, man.
Like so many things.
Yeah. Whenever Dreykov says the line, I can't remember the whole line, but he says the phrase he says is the most plentiful resource, which is girls.
Right.
And you're like, fuck you sideways. Like, I hated that line.
I mean, everything about it. Dreykov is just like, he gets closer to this idea of that institutional abuse more than anybody else. Talking about the graduation ceremony horror that is genuinely disturbing and honestly surprising. Like, I was surprised they went that deep and that kind of detail for such a brief moment in this movie, when the rest of the movie, I felt like they were really trying to skirt it the whole time and just let us fill in the blanks. Shortland said that the film is partly a rumination on the trafficking of girls and women, and that's the film at its most ambitious, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, that is, again, not something I liked about the movie, but the most nuanced and the deepest message in the movie is right there.
Which I did appreciate. I honestly thought that was one of the more interesting aspects of the story.
Yep.
What's your gutter moment?
One really quick one, and then one that's deeper. I loved whenever Alexei said, "Your ledgers must be dripping in red, gushing. I couldn't be more proud of you." And it's because earlier in the series, you hear her saying, "I've got red in my ledger. I'm trying to get it out."
Yeah.
And you see him actually take her shame and hold it up as like father's pride.
Right.
And it's like
and you know that's not landing.
Well,
because of our history with that line.
Sure, we know that's not landing for her.
That's what I mean.
But we are getting to look at the Alexei character as being like, hey, red being the color of Soviets. You know, he's like we are painting this world red. You know, like he's like we're bringing about. He has a mission. He's just not an American, and so we're looking at that going like, what a villain. And he's like, not to the Soviets,
right? Yeah,
you know,
he was a hero.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the little one. The bigger one. In that fight that you talked about, the scene, the safe house scene where Yelena and Natasha are fighting. And after they fight, she says, "I'm not the killer that little girls call their hero."
Right.
You know, if you watch Luke Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 4, he's wearing white. And then in Episode 5, he's wearing black. And then in Episode 6, he's wearing green and black. You see a little color archetype of I'm pure, I'm not pure, I'm resolved. Mm-hmm. Now, Yelena always wears white. She's got the snowsuit.
Yeah.
And Black Widow always wears black. And yet Black Widow Natasha is the hero, and Yelena is the villain. So what do we, or not a villain, but an anti-hero. Yeah. So what are we doing there? Well, there's actually a really good argument there in the gutter, in the deeper meaning, to say that actually Yelena is more honest.
Yeah.
She's more cynical. You know, she actually doesn't really have a personal purpose because it was taken away from her as a kid. She was 7 or, very young when she was taken to the Red Room.
Right.
And so like for her, and this comes up in Hawkeye, it comes up in Thunderbolts, like she's just looking for a cool way to die.
Yeah.
And you hear her literally say, the Avalanche, she's like, this would be a cool way to die. Or like, at the very final scene, she's like, hey, this was fun. Yeah. Knowing that this is probably her death. She's falling off the Red Room, the airship. And so it's just ironic to look at the anti-hero as the one who's actually more internally resolved. Like, she's not trying to fix something and become a hero.
Right.
She's just like, I'm just me. This is what I've been shaped into.
Yeah, the only thing unresolved is her family issues.
Right. Which is why she wants to go rescue the widows and get her family back together. It's like,
sure.
Because the girls are also stuck in there too.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved that. I actually thought that was, again, some of the most nuanced parts of this movie. It had nothing to do with Natasha Romanoff.
Well, that leads right into my last gutter moment, which is that the the idea that halfway through this movie, it becomes very, very clear that Natasha's the lens and Yelena is the main character.
Yes.
And because her character is so well developed, maybe, I don't know if maybe it's part writing, part Florence Pugh just really embodying a character and doing really well, because she does that in a lot of things that she's in. And I think that Florence Pugh is a really great actor. And so I think that really shows here. It really shines, and then also being so strong and so well developed that the film basically inadvertently makes its own argument for a sequel. Like it begs for a sequel. Yeah. One kind of where Yelena is the lead. Obviously, I remember again seeing, I almost wanted to rewatch Hawkeye just to see a little bit more Yelena when I watched the second time.
It's become Christmas watching for us.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
it's definitely a Christmas one. Yeah. That one, and then of course Guardians of the Galaxy.
and Die Hard.
And Die Hard, of course, yes.
My 3 favorite Christmas movies: Guardians of the Galaxy.
I feel like there's a movie that just came out that's like also a Christmas movie now. It's like Die Hard, but I can't think of what it is. Anyway.
I don't know.
But I mean, the sequel is effectively Hawkeye, but in my mind, the real sequel is Thunderbolts, and I honestly can't wait to rewatch that, because by that point, I'm trying to think. I think it's when we get to the Marvels. I haven't seen them more than once. It's only one time. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of fun. Is that all for your gutter moments?
We got one more.
All right.
We have this problem that particularly comes up a lot with Tony Stark, where Tony's actions cause the problem that he then has to go solve. Both at this point, we find out that in Ohio, the stolen information was unlocking free will, and that had been a shield base. But we find out at this point, we have found out that was populated by Hydra agents.
Right.
And so it's a Hydra agents who are unlocking free will for the purpose of control. And then it's because Natasha, so that's where the technology came from. And then it's because Natasha escaped from Dreykov that Dreykov forced all the widows into taking that stuff.
Right.
We're watching S.H.I.E.L.D. and Natasha cause the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're watching Yelena fix the problem.
Right.
And you're like, and Alexei, actually, the guy who caused the problem, fixes the problem. Mm-hmm. And again, just like you said, Natasha becomes the lens through which we watch the heroes.
Right.
Which is unfortunate, because I really would have liked an actual Widow movie.
Yeah.
But that space there where they're creating their own worst enemy, and then they have to go fix it, and they fix it with somebody that's an anti-hero character. It's worth pausing and looking again. Yeah, it just kind of came up for me there. And then I have one more little one, which is Red Guardian. One of the first things he says to the girls is he's like, "Does he ever talk about me?" And he says it to Natasha. He's talking about like fighting Captain America. He's like, "Does Captain America talk about me?" And then you kind of get a little bit of it whenever Red Guardian's fighting Taskmaster and she's holding a shield. Yeah. And you see motions, like throws the shield at him. You see motion that would have been Cap versus Guardian.
It's true.
And so you kind of get just a shadow of that for one scene. Where you get to see him fight a Captain America.
And also making you question if he ever really did.
Sure.
Because he doesn't handle it, but he doesn't handle it well.
Yeah, he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to the legacy.
Sure. Yep.
The legacy. As we've talked about at this point, introduced Florence Pugh as Yelena. And then, of course, moves us into Hawkeye and Thunderbolts. Introduced Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Did it?
Yeah. We'll get there. We're not there yet.
It's in the Stinger?
But it's in the Stinger.
Oh, shit. I missed it.
Yeah. Oh, you got to watch. You know better.
I know.
Oh, man. That's a shame.
Okay. I thought I was going to get away with it. I watched this movie to the final fight sequence.
Yeah.
And then had like...
the worst part of the movie.
I had like 15 minutes or 5 minutes left or whatever. Like the last little bit, they were falling.
Yeah.
And then I got sidetracked because I had my kids, and I was like, okay, I know how it ends.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch it. So I watched the whole fucking movie.
You should have just played along. You would have gotten away with it. Yeah.
But no, we're honest. I only bullshit when I'm telling stories.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that.
Well, so Valentina being in the Stinger is cool, and we'll get to that in a second. But it's cool because that also sets up Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Right.
And of course, Thunderbolts. So like we have this movie directly influences, we're leading to Thunderbolts at this point.
Right.
And I think we kind of knew that with Taskmaster surviving. Like there was a little bit of like that going on, I feel like.
And I think I saw this with some of the imagery that came out of San Diego Comic-Con this year. Are they doing Thunderbolts 2 *, or are they doing New Avengers? It's the same story. I think I saw Thunderbolts 2 with an asterisk. Yeah, so they're going to do it.
Maybe they won't be the Avengers for long.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see what happens.
We kind of always assumed.
See what happens in Doomsday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny parallel. So Natasha affecting everything, like you said, with the gutter moment. Scarlett Johansson in real life had a lawsuit with Disney over the premiere access release of the $30.
Oh yeah.
There was, if I remember correctly, she was cut out of all of that.
Oh,
so like where she would have made probably some money and some residuals from like theater, she didn't from any of the premiere. And so her premiere access changed how talent contracts are written in the streaming era and accelerated broader industry conversations about compensation.
Sure.
So in some ways maybe helped, but in most ways probably didn't. And they just figured out how to create bigger loopholes. So it's kind of a parallel in a weird way. Yeah. The film's commercial underperformance, which was only $379.8 million against $288 million budget, was attributed partly to the simultaneous streaming release cannibalizing theatrical revenue. Also COVID. I don't know why that wasn't a conversation. And it cemented Florence Pugh as the MCU star at that point. I think that was the one everybody was probably most excited to see come back after our favorite ones had died.
Yep.
The film was supposed to be Natasha's farewell. It accidentally became Yelena's introduction.
Yeah.
So.
I actually think that, again, to my earlier comment about really needing a good female lead, Thunderbolts was the first one that I felt like that actually worked.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it worked.
And a good chemistry that was interesting again.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. The mid-credits scene.
Which one?
So we're moving to. I should also say we're moving to the stinger. So we'll talk about the movie stinger. We'll talk about our stinger, which is the next episode. The mid-credit scene. Yelena is at Natasha's grave somewhere in Ohio. She's grieving quietly in her own way, feeding her dog, sitting with the fact that her sister is gone, and then Valentina Allegra de Fontaine pulls up. She hands Yelena a new assignment. The target, Clint Barton. Dun dun dun. And then we get Hawkeye. This is one of the best things in the whole film. I think it felt like an old school stinger from Marvel. So I was excited about that. The contrast between the grief of the scene and the coldness of Valentina's arrival is very effective and also makes you I just really love, Louise Dreyfus.
Julia. Yep.
Julia Louise Dreyfus.
Well, damn it.
Julia. It's Julia.
Yeah.
We're going to go with that. When you're talking about so many people, like if it was outside of this context, I'd definitely know.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, you had a female version of when Fury walks into Tony.
Yes.
And says, we got
100%.
It's a really clear parallel there.
It's a very clear parallel. And I mean, in every way, both of them are not superheroes. And neither was Tony. Yeah. So now she's pointing to, implications are enormous. Valentina is building something. So now we know relating into Thunderbolts, an anti-hero team. She's already recruited John Walker, U.S. agent from Falcon Winter Soldier. And now she's pointing Yelena at Hawkeye. The Thunderbolts lineup is assembling in the background, phase 4, without anyone quite noticing yet. We didn't really know that. It also directly sets up, of course, Hawkeye's series. I think that's pretty much it because there was no after credit scene. Right. So our stinger is that we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings next. Marvel's first Asian-led film, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. If that name sounds familiar, he is also directing Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Which we are going to go see tomorrow. As of the taping of this.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, my gosh.
So excited.
So I'm actually really excited about the Shang-Chi episode. I love whenever we have to deal with ancient things.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know why that kind of wakes up.
Thor.
Yeah.
First Thor.
Truly, it just makes it triggers an emotional space for me. That's why I really liked going to see The Odyssey with you, even though it kind of got very mixed reviews, and I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed parts of it, and some parts I didn't. I don't think it was a bad movie.
Some spark and some fizzle.
It definitely,
But when I get to go see stuff that's ancient, I really do appreciate that. And so dealing with, a 1,000-year-old villain who is working in even the city that has the power that he's looking for is even older. And Chinese dragons get involved, and
I mean, it's definitely probably the strangest thing Marvel had introduced at that point.
Yeah,
and we see a lot of crazy things, but that was a really weird thing.
And then I get the only supporting character I like more than Wong, Trevor fucking Slattery.
He's back.
He's back, man.
It's so good. I love it.
Yeah,
Every time I see him come on the screen, I can't help but just laugh and be happy, especially after seeing Wonder Man, which is an incredible show.
So good.
But yeah, so that's a wrap on this one. That is a wrap. If you're not already following us on socials, please do so. We are on pretty much all of them, at least the ones that we like. So we are at Wonder Bros Pod, because we're not on X, and I don't give a shit about X. I know everybody does, but nah. And that's where Madison drops clips from the show. We'll be doing maybe some other clips as well. And then, of course, as I always say, a review goes a long way. Take a few minutes, give us a 5-star review. It definitely helps us. And give us a follow and comment on our posts. That's really the only, you don't have to pay for anything. Just give us that a little bit of time, a few seconds.
A few seconds of your time.
Seconds of your time. It really means a lot.
The episode you listened to today was directed by Cody Harris. It was produced by Cody Harris. Our lead editor was Cody Harris. And it was spoken and performed by Cody Harris and Jeff Davis.
Thanks for that. Well, we hope this episode has inspired you to find the childhood wonder in your life this week, and we will see you back next week with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Excellent. We'll see you then.
See ya.